Hey, I want to talk about a cool use case that we've found with our new low-level streaming, durable streaming that we have, which if you haven't seen that yet, by the way, you can go to agentuity.dev or doc site. We have a guide here for agent streaming, so you can see how to spin that up. We'll look at that here in a second. But I want to go over a use case that is really useful. And there's a bunch of similar use cases with guardrails you can use with durable streaming. So this use case that I'll show you that we'll walk through it, the code is focused on company sensitive information. And so a user might be asking or saying things to an AI. And while the agent AI might have access to that data, maybe the employee doesn't have authorization to freely speak about a product or financial numbers or whatever. So it'll redact it is what it'll do. And then you'll get an audit stream separate with all the things that were redacted so that you could audit it later. So that's the use case. And we'll use streams, the different types of durable streams here as the demo. So let me just show you how it works first. I'll go ahead and kill this and I'm just jump over here and I'm going to run Agentuity dev. We're going to run this thing and the GitHub repo will be in the description and all that too, of course. So let's open a browser. Let's jump to this and let's watch this go. Okay. So we'll look at the code in a second, but there's a couple examples of what this agent is aware of and what is company proprietary information. So that's financial things, product level things, employee level things. So if I click on this example here, draft an internal memo summarizing our Q3 performance. So if I run that, it's, of course, the user's the one saying this, right? So it's going to draft it, but it's, hey, you as an employee you should not be writing these things. These are company level things that need to be protected. So you can see it was redacted here. Let's do another one just for fun. Refresh it to get these. Let's do this one here. So share the contact info for our growth team. And then it makes up an example here. Run that. Wait for it. There you go. So it redacted it. Fun. While it's doing that, I'll click on one of these sessions. So this is the session I just ran previously. And you can see we create two streams here. And in fact, you can click into it and go right to the stream. So watch this. So here's the stream that was sent back to the user. And then actually the second stream is the audit stream. So these are all the things, the guardrails, right? That you're not allowed to send these things back. These are the things that the user was wanting to get. And so there was 5 confidential items, financial and product and strategy. So there's your example. So those things were what the user saw as redacted. It's an audit stream, right? And you can click around and see the different information there is. Of course, you can't always go to streams here in our console. There you go. Same thing. You can see the different streams and what was redacted, which is cool. All right. So that's basically the use case and how it works. Now let's look at the code. I'm going to go ahead and kill this. I don't need to run it. And let's look at the code and we'll break this down. So let's start with the agent. So I'm going to jump right to our guardrail streamer agent. Just really quick, we're using 3.5 Haiku. I know that the new 4.5 Haiku just came out literally a few minutes ago, but this is what we're using to quickly go through this stuff. I'll talk about the character threshold and the carry tail in a minute, because with streams, low-level streams, you're watching chunks of data come through, and then you have to do certain things. We'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, there's the agent handler, agent function handler, that all the routing comes through that, right? And this is a request, response, context, where you can get things like key value storage out of it. You can set up a stream, which is what we're doing here. Talk about that in a second. All right, so let's just jump in and do a code review. So first thing is, this agent expects text that's coming in to the agent handler. That's it. Of course, there's JSON and binary data and all sorts of things, email, but this one, we're only handling text. And this is where we're setting up the 2 streams. Actually, let me blow this up a little bit bigger so you can hopefully see that. Let's do it right there. That hopefully makes it look better. So this is our main stream. This is the stream that goes back out to the user with the redacted information if there's proprietary information. And this is the audit stream. So as things are happening, and if we see there's something proprietary, we also add that to the audit log. This is what we removed. And that's those two streams that I showed you a minute ago. So we're saying you're an internal company assistant. That's what we're doing here. And we pass the user's request to it, which you'll see here. So there's this function here, which we're going to dive into in a minute. And so what we do is as this AISCK stream is coming through and we're accumulating the chunks here, we're looking at it and then we're adding it to a buffer. We're saying, here's this buffer. And then once we hit the buffer threshold, then we call this validate and flush function. So we accumulate some characters and then we go, hey, is there anything confidential in this buffer? Oh, there is. Okay, do this and then flush it. And then we just keep doing that as it's streaming through. And then we do a final check here. And then once that loop is done, of course, we're streaming it back to the client and we close the streams, we're done. Good to go. So let's jump into this real quick. So as we're accumulating chunks of data, you can see here, we're looking at the text to check. Once we get into that threshold, we have this function, detect confidential information. So if I jump into here, this is using Grok with the OpenAI GPT model. It's really fast and it's pretty smart for the use case, the thing we're trying to do, which is really, we're just trying to find out, is there any confidential information in here? Is it financial, product, R&D, contact, or strategy? And then what is that? That's really what we care about. So it's perfect for that. And it comes back in just a few hundred milliseconds. So this is why this is useful, because if you're going to check this multiple times during the session of a user talking and trying to do something like generate a report or something, you want something that's fast and cheap. And so Grok is great for that. And I chose OpenAI's open source model because I just wanted to try it. And it actually works really well for this. So again, standard Vercel AISCK function. We're using that open source model. We're passing in that schema I just showed you, and we tell it what to do, and it'll analyze it for confidential information, and then it just spits it back out. So that's where this comes in. We call it here. So after so much data is accumulated, we go, hey, is there anything in there? We call out, come back. Yes, it is. Okay, let's redact it, which is just a simple, it's nothing fancy. This is just literally, this is how, if it's financial, product, whatever, you just go through, match it, and then replace it. And nothing fancy there. You could probably actually have the LLM do that on the fly, but this is more deterministic. So I kept it in there this way. So this is just an LLM call inside of this validate and flush handler, right? We could probably in a real life scenario, have another agent that's like your confidentiality agent. And that way other agents in your company would use it. So the way that would work, very similar, the same idea, except in the context object that you have in the agent handler, you can say get agent. And in there, you can do it by name or by ID, 1, 2, 3. So you get a handler on that, and then you can invoke it. So you can say run with the parameters that you want to pass in. Same thing, you can stream it. It works mostly the same way. It's just the difference is you're using an agent that's in another infrastructure piece to go do that thing and then stream it back, which is useful. But for now, for this example, we just make an LLM call right here, which is what we looked at. All right, so once we do that, we have our sanitized output. We've redacted the information, and then we write what we redacted into that audit stream that we looked at. And then we also go down here and we write to the mainstream, like what is allowed to go through to the user. So that's where the redacted stuff gets sent to the user and it's removed. So that's how that works. And that's it. That's like a low level stream, but a very practical use case. PII is another example that you'd want to do that, or health information would be another example. So you can keep an audit log of what's being audited and redacted. And then you can, on the user side, redact that stuff. Pretty simple. I think if we were to continue down this road, we can make the guardrail part simpler. We have an evals and prompting feature coming out soon. And we probably could wrap this in an eval that runs here. So I think once we release that in a few weeks, I'll probably revisit this as a 2.0 and then include that. But that's it for the new durable streams. Thanks.